In this video, I'm going to talk about how to create a powerful canvassing lead. In a previous video, I spoke about starting a conversation with the homeowner. And these conversations are not just conversations so that you can establish basic rapport, although that is very important. These conversations are fact-finding conversations that lead to the close of the sale. Yes, I know we're talking about canvassing. But you have to understand my background is one whereby I canvassed and came back and closed the sale. Now, I'm going to give you this tidbit, but before I give you the tidbit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you what happens in a canvassing situation, why the sales are not made when you go through a canvassing process, when you are sure that there's a sale that's going to be made. When you're dealing with a canvassing situation where you are turning that lead over to a company or another individual, which is a part of the company, essentially what happens is that you might very well be a better canvasser than the closer that comes behind you. And so what you've got to do is you've got to put together some mechanisms in terms of bridging yourself as the canvasser, setting the appointment, and positioning the closer that's going to come in behind you. Once you've started this conversation, this is the one time that the principle, and it applies more than this one time, but this is definitely the one time where the principle of where you were given one mouth and two ears truly applies. You were given the two ears because where you're going to get your information to not only set the appointment, but to close the sale at the point of the appointment, not having the contract, is you're going to get that information from the homeowner right there at the door during the process of the conversation. Let me make this real simple for you so you can understand. In the home improvement area of door-to-door knocking, this is one area where rarely is it that an individual knocks on a door, engages in a presentation, and actually closes a sale. Now, people buy things at the door every day. People actually have been noted as buying construction work at the door on a one-time close situation at the door on the first encounter. Wow, this sounds crazy to some of you, but there are specific conditions, and all throughout the appointment setting process and the construction closing process, in terms of closing the sale to do renovations on the home, there are conditions that can be present whereby if you had a contract right there in front of you, this individual is prepared to make the purchase. And what we're going to talk about is that we're not going to create that environment where the person is going to make the purchase right away from you, the canvasser, because you don't have the contract, unless you're a canvasser closer like I was. But in a canvassing situation, when you begin to listen to the homeowner, you are going to begin to hear the buying signs and how desperate the buying signs are when you engage in the conversation. I'll give you a simple example. If you were selling, for example, insulation, and you had done basically what I like to do if I'm going to knock on a door to talk to someone about insulation, is I have driven throughout the neighborhood. I've assessed the homes ahead of time in terms of from a construction perspective, and I know what the problems are in that house from a comfort perspective. I know if there's trees around the house, that house, depending upon the types of trees that are around the house and the way they're situated around the house, I know that house is probably going to be real cold in the winter. Or if there's trees around the house, I know if that house is going to be comfortable during the summer. I know based off of the color of the house, the type of construction that's engaged in the house, I know a tremendous amount about that house. And so when I'm talking to the homeowner and I begin to either suggest to them what I know in terms of the issues that they're facing living in the house, or when they begin to communicate what it is that they're experiencing when they begin to live in the house, they might say something like, I love my home, but during the summertime, the second floor becomes unbearable. They might say that in the conversation. Well, for me, I've been given enough information to know that this person is suffering from a tremendous amount of heat on the second floor of their home in the summertime. Now, what I want to do in order to move that to the close of a sale, because I'm going to give that lead over, is I'm going to continue my conversation with the homeowner. And I may get some ideas in terms of, well, what do you guys normally do when it gets really hot like that? The only thing that we can do is we just go outside, or we go to the movies, or we something. Based off of whatever answer they give me, I simply analyze that to make a determination, does that make reasonable sense that they can do this long term? And there is a cost factor in that. And so what I'll do is after I get that appointment, what I'm going to do is make a notation on the lead and pass that on to the office so that the closer knows that this is the conditions that the homeowner is living in the summer and they're tired of it. So the sale is basically closed. It's an issue of now we're talking about how much. And it's based off of the sales skill of the salesperson armed with that information that finalizes the closing of the sale. We're going to talk about more things like this as we proceed forward. Especially we'll come back to this issue of the closer and the canvasser needing to have some sort of synergy in terms of being able to close the sale once it's been properly canvassed. See you in the next video.